203 times an NHL team has gone down 0-3 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. 4 times have those teams come back to win their series. The Edmonton Oilers look to make it 5 as they go down 3-0 heading into game 4 tonight. What can they do to actually pull off a win in Edmonton on home ice? What are the Oilers looking to do with their lines? And what a game 3 did we have on Saturday? All that and so much more on today's episode of Locked On Oilers.
You're Locked On Oilers, your daily podcast on the Edmonton Oilers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Oilers podcast. I'm your host and former Oilers game day producer, Brett Holden. Thank you so much for tuning in today on this, gloomy Monday morning as I'm filming after the Oilers optional skate because we wanted to see if we would get any lines for game 4. Well, it was an optional skate, so there wasn't too many guys on the ice for the Oilers and certainly not many lines skating for the Oilers, so we will wait to see until warm-ups if we do get some lineups. But we do have some lineup notes from Jay Woodcroft as we will get to that later on in today's episode. Plus, what do the Oilers have to do in tonight's game, I guess? It's at 6 p.m. tonight to actually win a game in the Western Conference Finals and force a game 5 back in Denver. We will get to that in a little bit. But today, right now, at this very present moment, we're going to have a little bit of a vent session from game 3 because I think we deserve that. Thank you so much for making Locked On Oilers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you find your podcast. Plus, we're on YouTube as well. So if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, make sure you go and do that. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, where we're going to start is where game 3 ended. As it was, let's just have a vent session, everybody. As the Edmonton Oilers, uh, everybody and their mother was in Edmonton for game 3. As the folks from Spittin' Chicklets were over at Rogers Place. I heard rumors that even Snoop Dogg might have been in the building as well with Ashton Kutcher. Hey, these are just rumors. So if you weren't there and you didn't see them, or if you were there and didn't see them, don't come after me. These are just words that were told to me. Tons of local celebrities as well also, and that's why I'm wearing my Alphonso Davies jersey today, because the last time the Edmonton Oilers won on home ice, Alphonso Davies was there. So maybe I'm just trying to get all that winning energy out of Alphonso Davies and try and put that back into the Edmonton Oilers, because, man, the Edmonton Oilers were close in game 3. They started off with a lead 38 seconds in from Connor McDavid, and the building was rocking. What a building. What a feel it was in the building. And I wasn't even there. I was watching from Southside Edmonton, and I was going, holy, this place is awesome. Then, the talking point of game 3 happened from the cross-check from behind from Evander Kane on Nazem Kadri, which led to the 5-minute power play for the Colorado Avalanche, and did kind of take most of the energy out of the building really quickly, right off the top. And honestly, we're going to know a lot of people are maybe expecting a passionate speech on, how is that a penalty? How is that a hit from behind? It was. It was. It deserved the 1-game suspension. I mean, I'm one of those people that we can go and look back and take a look at all the penalties and go, that was one, wasn't called, that was this. And I mean, we did it with the Makar goal. We did. But that's a tough play. That is a dangerous play. It is what it is. And what happened. I'm not going to argue with it. It was a dangerous play, and now Nazem Kadri is out for the rest of the post or of this series, at least. Maybe for the rest of the postseason. It sounds like because it sounds like he might need surgery on whatever it may be that they haven't even come out with what is hurt. I've heard wrist, I've heard shoulder, I've heard honestly, if it's collarbone, that's scarier to me than a wrist or a shoulder. And I've had shoulder injuries. But we're not here to speculate. We're here to talk about the facts. And the facts are that that really took the crowd and the gas out of Rogers' place. Even though the Oilers did have a massive kill. And that's been the thing of this series is that, you know what? Colorado has had the massive amount. Off the top of my head, I believe the Edmonton Oilers have only had 7 power plays in this series so far, which over 3 games isn't too bad. But the Colorado Avalanche have had 16 power plays so far. Over double the amount of penalties that the Edmonton Oilers have received, I should say. The Colorado Avalanche is already a team that has the highest penalty differential in the NHL. Uh, mm, Again, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. I'm just presenting facts. You can take with that what you will, but I'm just saying that is a very, very high differential. In fact, to every 2 penalties that the Oilers get, they don't even get 1 power play. But hey, I digress. You got to be better. You can't be taking penalties regardless. So, I don't want again, I don't want to be saying anything that shouldn't be said, but there's been some times where you're looking at a call and you're going, "What?" Uh, I mean, McDavid's being hauled down, grabbed, touched, and everything you could possibly imagine going down the ice, and nothing gets called. And I mean, Oilers fans have come to accept it. That's fine. That's what happens when the fastest, best player in the world is skating past you. You're gonna do whatever you can to make sure he doesn't make you look stupid. And if that doesn't get called, well, it doesn't get called. It is what it is. But let's not get hung up on that. The Edmonton Oilers had a power play opportunity to go up in the game, late in the game, and potentially get a game back in this series on the JT Confer penalty. Well, Evan Bouchard hits the post and goes the other way and looks silly trying to cover Confer the other way. Did you not know he was coming out, Evan? Did you not hear Mike Smith's stick banging on the ice saying, "Oh, he's coming out"? Well, I was so lost watching that play. As soon as JT Comfort got behind Evan Bouchard, I knew that that was going to be a goal. It was just too perfect for it not to be a goal. And as soon as Evan Bouchard face planted on the boards, who looked like an A1 defenseman to me, face plants on the boards, and JT Comfort just has a breakaway from the face-off dots. It was atrocious. That goal was so preventable. It hurts. That is why this series kind of hurts because so much of the damage inflicted by the Colorado Avalanche have either been self-inflicted from the Oilers because their first goal after the Oilers, every single shot for the Colorado Avalanche in the first period, up until their first goal, was on a power play. No 5-on-5 shots for them until a bouncer, a weird bounce off his stick, finds its way into the back of the net. You're telling me, you're gonna tell me? I mean, and again, the Colorado Avalanche had not all the shots, but they had a bunch of shots. They had a little bit of an advantage. It was kind of on the run of play, but the Oilers, that was not by any means the Oilers' worst period, just because they were on the power or the penalty kill for most of the period. 7 minutes, the Oilers were on the power penalty kill, killing a power play in the first period, and they still had a very strong period. But the puck that went into the net was a fluke, and that's how you win games. You got to be good to be lucky. You got to be lucky to be good. And that's what happened for the Colorado Avalanche in game 2. In game 3, excuse me. I'm getting lost. I just it's been tough. That's been the tough thing for from the Oilers side is that so many of these have been self-inflicted. 2 minutes and 4 seconds went by in the second period in game two, and that was the game right there. 2 minutes and 4 seconds, boom, the Oilers were done. I mean, it's tough because you take a look at the Edmonton Oilers and you know that they can be good. If the Edmonton Oilers were at full health, if the Oilers were healthy at all, this would be a different series. Darnell Nurse wouldn't look like a third pairing AHL defenseman right now. He would look like a number one defenseman if he was healthy. If hey, Caroline Schved has said her they said that his her boyfriend is a physiotherapist, knows has dealt with core injuries before. And as he said through her, that those core injuries can take away upwards of 50% of your power. That's a lot when you're a very high profile defenseman. That's where we'll call it there. I mean, that's my venting of game three because realistically, I was trying to find something from game three to chat about, and all I wrote down was just vent of game three. So we got that out of the system. Let's move on to game four and hopefully game five. And for the rest of this episode, we should say. So what are the Oilers going to do with Evander Kane out of the lineup? Is Kailer Yamamoto healthy? We'll get to that in just a second. But first, there we go. I don't want to sound like I'm going through puberty again. But first, I want to tell you about our partner. Our next partner, actually, has a product that I have been using every day. And I wanted it. I started using it because it actually tastes great. I wanted a supplement that actually tasted great, optimized my immune system, and bettered my gut health. Well, that is exactly what I get with Athletic Greens. And so, what is Athletic Greens? What is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all of the things. All of them. I promise you, all of them. I have gotten my parents on this and I get text messages from them honestly saying thank you for getting them on this product. It is unbelievable to them. It is lifestyle friendly as well. Whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, or gluten free, it contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals, or artificial anything, all while still actually tasting great. It costs less than $3 a day, so you're investing in your health and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit, which I don't have a cold brew today. I have an energy drink, so that's not really much better. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 five-star reviews, recommended by professional athletes and trusted by leading experts such as Tim Ferriss and Michael Gervais. Right now, it is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That is it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1 year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Oh, I always have to take a breath after those reads. I get something going in my throat, and you never know. Thank you so much for making Locked On Oilers your first listen every day, and that is what you're listening to right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are free and available wherever you find your podcast. Plus, we have an important favor to ask of you. We put together a survey so we can learn more about our listeners and like you and make your favorite Locked On podcast even better. This is your opportunity to tell us what you like and don't like about Locked On Podcast. And what you can do is head to lockedonpodcast.com/survey right now and get started. It won't take very long, and everyone that completes the survey can qualify for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. Yeah, that's right. You can win a $100 gift card to Ticketmaster just by taking this survey. To take your audience survey, head to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. Thank you so much for your help. Alrighty, let's move on to what is going on for the Oilers today. As the Jay Woodcroft had a press conference. If you normally listen to the podcast, you notice that it is out a little later today. I like to kind of sit and wait on game days just to see if we're going to get any lineup changes. I don't want to come out here and say, oh, well, this and this and this is happening for the lineups, and then all of a sudden so and so doesn't play. So waited. Let's take a look at practice. And guess what? There were no lines running at optional practice today before game 4, which is fantastic, if you ask me. But what we did get were some quick fire lineup updates and a potential. We didn't get it confirmed from Jay Woodcroft himself, but we do have a report coming out as well for a potential player debut. We'll get to that in a second, but first, Mike Smith is starting for the Oilers tonight in game 4. Nah, that's expected. That's not too much. But Kailer Yamamoto is out and unavailable for the Oilers in game 4, so he will not play. That means the Edmonton Oilers do go 11-7, which it sounds like they will. The Edmonton Oilers are probably going to have to take out another player and put in another one, as Evander Kane is suspended for game 4. So there's a lot of movement. A lot of new forwards potentially making their way into the lineup, as Brad Malone did play in game 3. It sounds like he will play in game 4 as well. But when asked about Dylan Holloway and whether or not he will play, Jay Woodcroft said he is healthy and available. After the Edmonton Oilers press conference after Jay Woodcroft's press conference, Frank Saravalli came out with a tweet saying that he is hearing that Dylan Holloway will be making his NHL debut tonight in game 4. So, how will the lines look? Well, that is quite interesting. Does that mean Dylan Holloway does actually play? Now, after Jay Woodcroft's little press conference, I wrote down in my notes, I was saying, you know what? I bet he doesn't play. I bet he doesn't play, because he really made it sound like he had all these other guys, Devin Shore, Derek Brassard. I mean, you called up a whole bunch of guys from the AHL as well, so you have a whole bunch of black aces to play with as well. So I really sat there and said, oh man, I don't think Dylan Holloway is going to play. But we will find out for sure by warm-ups. That sounds like that's what is going to be the plan for the Oilers and Jay Woodcroft specifically, to get these lines out. And I mean, realistically, when you if you're Colorado and you're sitting there and going, okay, is so-and-so going to play? Is so-and-so going to play? And you get this new guy like Dylan Holloway, which you don't really have a lot of footage on, most likely. I mean, you know that the kid just played in the AHL, and you can go and get AHL footage of the kid. But other than that, it's a different ball game. It's a whole different game up here. So it's kind of nice for Jay Woodcroft to kind of play, is he or isn't he? But I think we all know he is. Holloway and Malone did leave practice 10 minutes into the optional skate. So that means they didn't burn out really their legs. They didn't over exude in the practice and try not to wear themselves out for the game. And it sounds like Devin Shore wasn't one of those guys who came off the ice as well. So, indications of all indications, it seems like we are going to see Dylan Holloway. Once again, it's Evander Kane will miss game 4, and it sounds like Kailer Yamamoto is unavailable. So, what will the Oilers' lines look like in game 4? Well, I assume that the Edmonton Oilers will bring back Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on the same line. While I did like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Leon Draisaitl on the same line, as they have had a lot of success. Actually, I was going to say a little success. They had a lot of success in a couple of seasons previous, I should say. At one point, Kailer Yamamoto, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Leon Draisaitl was arguably one of the best lines in hockey. Now, Kailer Yamamoto is out of the lineup, so I don't think that they will bring that lineup up again. But I think this will probably be the best potential lineup, I think, for the Oilers, is I think Zach Hyman should be the guy next to Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Let's be real. Leon Draisaitl isn't healthy. We saw that. You can call it what it was. I'll call it a slew foot for now. I'm not saying that it was exactly dirty, but his leg did get underneath Leon Draisaitl. So we'll call it what it technically was a slew foot. Was it dirty? Was it intentional? I'll leave that up to you. But we'll just say that his foot got underneath Leon Draisaitl, slewed him a little bit, and we'll call it there. We saw it after that play. It wasn't, and Leon got up and went down the tunnel. He wasn't exactly fully healthy, and he's not fully healthy. So if you go and put him with Connor McDavid, that you know is, well, an alien, and you put him with a guy like Zach Hyman, who you know is going to go into those hard spots, work hard for the puck, and drive that puck into open and free space for, the two best players in the world. Okay, not bad. Sorry, pretty decent. So that I think that will be where the first line is. Ryan Nugent Hopkins. This is kind of where the lineup kind of flips. Ryan Nugent Hopkins, I think, will be or should be the center on the second line, and then I think Ryan McLeod will also be a center on the third line, and that is where I think Dylan Holloway will start or will play at least. That with that line with Dylan Holloway, Ryan McLeod, and take your pick. Really, I mean, I think it would have been best if it was Kailer Yamamoto, but he's unavailable. So really take your pick. It's not looking good for the Oilers in regards to their forward lines. So we'll take a look at what we get in warmups. But to recap, Mike Smith is getting the start in game 4. Kailer Yamamoto out for game 4, out of the lineup for game 4. And Dylan Holloway taking a look, or it's seeming like he will make his NHL debut in game 4. Hey, we were only a game off in our predictions. We said by game 3, it was game 4. So those are the lineup changes that it seems like we will see so far tonight in game 4. If we get anything before the end of today's episode, we will update you. But if we do get anything up before the game, make sure you check our Twitter at Locked On Oilers or at The Real Holden 40. We will try and update you there if anything does come up. But what do the Oilers need to do in game 4? In that game 4, doesn't matter on the lineup. What do the Oilers need to do in game 4 to actually stretch us out to a 5-game series and not get swept? Because I'm a petty fan and I will break a broom. But we will get to that in just a second. But first, I want to tell you a little bit more about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, news, and odds, including this year's NHL hockey playoffs. As we've mentioned, come on. You know what? Just put a little bit on the Oilers stretching this onto game 5 here. I have a pretty good feeling. I hope. Plus, the NBA finals are going on right now as the Golden State Warriors beat the Boston Celtics. I believe it was 102 to 88 or 107 to 88. So are the Golden State Warriors back? We shall see. Plus, hey, we were talking about the other day, the QMJHL playoffs. Xavier Bourgault got the game-winning goal in, I believe, game 1 of the QMJHL finals. Not a bad looking draft pick there, if you ask me. Not too bad, but yeah, you can even take a look at the QMJHL finals as well. Hey, and if you're an Edmontonian and you haven't taken a check out of the Edmonton Oil Kings, they are also in the finals. You can take a look at BetOnline for those lines as well. I mean, you can bet on a lot of things. I was surprised when I went on to the website there. Plus, the NFL schedule is out as well. You can get all the NFL futures on Bet Online. Bet Online is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and much more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Bet Online, where the game starts. And where we're going to end today, it seems like it's almost repetitive, is what the Oilers need to do to win against the Colorado Avalanche. It seems, again, very repetitive because it seems like the Oilers don't know how to beat the Colorado Avalanche right now. So what I may be putting up here may be wrong because it's not what we've seen the Oilers do, which is why I think that's what the Oilers need to do in game 4 to actually win, because it's what we haven't seen the Oilers do at all in this series. But we shall get to it either way. The number one thing that the Oilers need to do in game 4 to actually have success and hopefully stretch it to a game 5 is stay out of the penalty box, please. Please. We already talked about the discrepancy between the calls between the Colorado Avalanche and the Edmonton Oilers, and that does not mean that you need to be a little more precise or a little tentative going into the corners. Play your game, but don't be stupid. Stay out of the box. Stay out of the box because that's going to take a whole bunch of energy out of the crowd, and especially if they score on that power play. And the Oilers are imperative. It is imperative for the Oilers to have a great crowd in game 4 because you take a look at, I mean, so many people, the people who have gone to game 3 and have witnessed what Oilers fans are like during the playoffs would go on and say, this is the best atmosphere I've ever seen in the NHL. That's not by accident. And if the Edmonton Oilers are able to stay out of the box and keep the fans in the game, that could spell trouble for the Colorado Avalanche. The second thing the Oilers need to do to actually probably win this game, and this isn't even something where it's like, oh, if you do this you might win. They need defensive support. If you get defensive support, you're going to win the game. You can't lose the game by allowing less goals in the other team. So go out there and prevent goals. The Edmonton Oilers have steadily been getting better at preventing goals and have steadily been getting better in their own end. Well, now you only have one more game to sit there and go, well, we're getting better. At least we're better than last game. No, now you have to sit there and actually be good and be defensively sound and give some support to the defenseman. I mean, I realize that it was the end of a power play for Evan Bouchard, and he's the only defenseman on the ice, but you got to have someone else back there. You got to have someone who can give Evan Bouchard that support. We have talked about the fact that half of the Oilers defensemen have been awful in this series, and Duncan Keith, Darnell Nurse, and Evan Bouchard. So you have to give support. I mean, that's what Jay Woodcroft did with Chris Russell, putting him in there for the 11-7, but you still got to have support, not only from your defensemen, but from your forwards as well. So the second thing is defensive support for the Edmonton Oilers. The third thing is just keep shooting the puck, baby. Just keep shooting. As we saw, sometimes there were some squeakers where you saw Pavel Francouz look behind him and he didn't know where it was. And then we didn't really have anybody around the net. The Edmonton Oilers didn't really have anybody around the net to try and jam something in. So let's try and have somebody there. Hey, how about a line? Sorry, I just conceived it in my head. How about Dylan Holloway, Ryan McLeod, and Jesse Puljujärvi? Puljujärvi can play right in front of the net and force jam one of those pucks in that Francouz can't find. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. We shall see lines when we get closer to the game, but Not a bad idea. And finally, the final thing for the Oilers to actually have support, or actually potentially stretch this series into 5 games, is lead the game. Lead the game for longer than 36 seconds, as I keep getting back to that 36-second thing, but lead the game for longer than a period. How about? How longer than half a period? What? Let's go into a second or a third period with a lead. And if we blow it, we blow it. Let's just let's have a lead, please. Please. We scored 38 seconds. We saw Connor McDavid score 38 seconds into the game. The Oilers couldn't do anything with that. So just please lead for longer than 36 seconds, 10 minutes, please. Please. Let's hold a lead. But that is where we will call it. Puck drop goes tonight at 6 p.m. in Edmonton. And then hopefully, I hope tonight's or tomorrow's episode will not be the season's over. Hopefully we can talk about game 5 and what the Oilers need to do in game 5 to actually stretch it out into a game 6. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Oilers and making Locked On Oilers your first listen every day. Now, for your second listen, make sure you tune in to Locked On NHL, as Locked On NHL covers the playoffs like no other. Hear the latest news and opinions from local experts every Monday through Friday. It is free and available wherever you find your podcasts. Everybody, let's just enjoy the playoffs, as we have had such an amazing run. Yeah, I mean, I have felt like a kid again watching this Edmonton Oilers team, and this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning. So everybody, make sure you take advantage of the playoff Oilers and take advantage of playoff hockey and hockey in June, Edmonton. We've had such a ride, and hopefully we can play La Bamba just one time in the month of June. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Stay safe and don't do anything I wouldn't do.